Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
It's time for another daily dose of dismal Disney. I know.
Sadly.
I know. We said we weren't going to do more Disney videos, or we're going to try to space it out. And in fact, this one probably will come after some other videos, but this came up.
This is important. So, interestingly enough, there's an Axios poll, and I guess they do this every year. And they compare, like they have Republican and Democrats. They deliberately try to find people from opposite sides. And then they see where they're at with different companies across the board. Okay. And they have a list of the top most polarizing companies, who the Democrats like, who the Republicans like. But this year, Disney made the top 10. It's actually number 5 of the most polarizing companies because of all the stuff going on with Florida.
Yeah, so this is not going to help them. I know we did a video yesterday saying that their attendance is not down at Disney, but we also said that people book their trips well in advance.
Well, May, I guess this last month's been real. The crowds have not been big.
Well, they're not going to the Star Cruiser, that's for sure.
Well, they might be until the end of September, but yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about this because I think, sometimes there's a long tail on this with consumers, and we're doing another video today, which might actually come before this one, talking about Hasbro, where there's a long tail. It takes a long time to see the results of
stupid decisions,
consumer backlash. It doesn't happen right away, apparently, unless you're Bud Light. But, in the case
ironically, Anheuser-Busch was not in the top 10 most polarizing companies.
That's very strange.
I know, right?
Yeah, but Disney, people, again, they plan their trips years out in some cases, and it does take time for these things to manifest. But I think we're starting to see, the results of that, with Disney Plus, lots of cancellations. Here's
the kicker, though. If you look at this chart, they've been tracking this since 2014. It started at 82% in 2014, and now it's down to 70.9 overall.
Yeah.
And according to the article, which we're going to look at in a minute, Democrats and Republicans are usually really close to each other on their opinions on Disney. That was a bipartisan thing that they mostly were in lockstep as it declined. They were in agreement on it until this year because of, Disney's trying to say that they're, going to, diversity, inclusion and all this shit. And then, they're making demands and, suing people in Florida and all this other crap. But it's always been until recently that they were kind of in agreement on Disney. And now they're split very far apart with the Republicans dropping a lot and Democrats going up slightly.
Boy, it'd be a real shame if a lot of their money came from a Republican state, wouldn't it?
Right.
A real shame. But here's the thing. I think that Disney has become the poster child for go woke, get broke, that crew, because they're looking at the movies. I'm saying, but I think what's going to happen is, because we've seen a lot of stuff on, like Fox News and the Daily Wire has been going after Disney. And I think that they've basically made them the poster child for everything that's wrong in pop culture today.
Well, Disney kind of is responsible for a lot of the problems in pop culture because they own everything. And I mean, it's not, in that case, it's actually, proving true because they keep, the more political they get, the worse the returns are, and their stock keeps dropping. And you'd think that somebody there would be like, you know what, maybe we should stick to the old adage that we shouldn't talk politics or religion. But no.
Yeah, so this is another Harris poll, and I'm going to bring this up too. Before we get into it any further, further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys, wherever you find us, whether it's YouTube or Rumble or elsewhere. Who knows where we're going to be. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
We do talk a lot about Disney, having worked in and around the company for a number of years, having a Disney room in our house, for God's sake. And
we're Disney Media.
We're part of the Disney Media cabal at one point in time, worked on Disney Comics. We've done a lot of things. This company is not the same company it was. It's not the same company that we fell in love with. It's literally something else.
Literally. How we kind of started all this stuff, we were doing comics before that, was the reason we started doing all Disney stuff we did was because Neon's like, hey, we love going to Disney, but why should we pay for it? Let's make this our business and let other people pay for it. And that's literally how we started this.
It's kind of sad because
we hate Disney.
We did. What happened was I got laid off from my one job, and I was like, oh crap, what are we gonna do now? Well, we're gonna go to Disney World.
And they're going to pay for it.
And they're going to pay for it.
And because we liked it so much. Because we couldn't afford to pay for it. So, that's how it all started. So back to the point, which is this article. So, yes, there's this new Axios Harris poll. And it's the reputation score poll. They do it. I guess they've done it since 2014. Disney has dropped 12 points. So the article is kind of confusing. It said they dropped 12 points. It makes it sound like this year. That's not the case. They did drop some this year, but that was over the course of 9 years. And they said that that this is they took a big hit, dropping a dozen spots, 77 they've been, after what happened in Florida. They said that they think it's caused by DeSantis' so-called Don't Say Gay bill last year and Disney's opposition to it. It was Disney's Don't Say Gay bill, according to the media.
I can just see the logo for that. Disney's Walt Disney Pictures presents Don't Say Gay.
Yeah, no. That's
a new Disney Channel exclusive.
And voicing opposition to the Don't Say Gay bill. It's a parental rights and education bill. In Florida, Disney gained favor with Democrats, but took such a large reputation hit with Republicans that its overall reputation score was severely impacted. So it did gain some with the Democrats, but it took such a hit with Republicans that the gains are mitigated and then some. So here's what they did. They found out that Disney is the 5th most polarizing brand. Yeah, on my article over at piratesandprincesses.net, I actually have a list. So they made halfway down the 10 most polarizing companies after Trump Organization, Fox, Hobby Lobby, FTX, and then the Walt Disney Company. They are worse. They have a worse reputation than Pfizer, than TikTok, and even Twitter. I mean,
Chick-fil-A.
Well, I mean, polarized. Yeah, because notice how a lot of these are Republican ones because they're polarizing because that. I mean, even meanwhile, the Democrat choices weren't that polarizing, I don't think. Except for Pfizer.
So it is accurate to say that according to this poll, because this might be the title of the video, Disney is more polarizing than Pfizer. It's more politically polarizing than Pfizer. And Twitter.
And then Twitter.
You really have to try pretty damn hard to be more polarizing than Pfizer and Twitter.
I guess their thought process was, hey, if we're going to be best at something, let's be the best at being worst. I don't know.
So this is not good because, like you said, Disney historically wanted everybody's money. It was always an all-American brand that appealed to a global audience. Everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people love Disney, or at least, bought Disney product or whatever. Now people are actively boycotting Disney. That's not good. And it's just because of some very poorly worded threats.
Well, it started out with poorly worded threats, and then Iger came back, and then Iger just took it down. He just they could have just left it go. They could have been like, hey, we lost Reedy Creek. That sucks. Let's work with what we got. But they didn't because they had to take it even further. Now they're suing. And basically the lawsuit is we're suing everybody who didn't agree with us. We want all our shit back. That's basically what, and then you pay for the legal fees too. That's basically the lawsuit. And they're just taking it too far, and I think it's driving people away. And I think you'll find that there are probably some Republicans who still side with Disney and some Democrats who don't. This is just like overreaching like poll that's like a limited sampling.
Yeah, and that's, you have to realize with any of these polls that it is a sampling, but you can feel it. And I was actually going to do an article at one point, and I never really got around to it, but I couldn't really quantify it. It was just a feeling that I got that the general public is turning on Disney. Even if it's not because of politics, it's because of the quality, the declining quality in their product.
Even before all this happened, they've gone down 12 points since 2014. They were well on their way down before this happened. Yeah. And apparently Democrats and Republicans were pretty much in lockstep the entire way down the hill. Okay, so it wasn't just like a new thing. Everybody's been getting sick of it, but they really got sick of it. But what's interesting, though, is they're talking about how the differences were showing up. They said overall, Disney's reputation quotient, RQ, score was 70.9 out of a possible 100. That's down 3.4 points since last year, because it was 73.4. And the score represents measurements across multiple dimensions that touch on character, trust, and trajectory. Among Democrats, it jumped to 80.3 from 72.5, but it plunged 14 points with Republicans to 61 from 75. So interestingly enough, last year, Republicans were more in favor of Disney than the Democrats were. The people that they were actively trying to piss off were the ones who are giving them more benefit of the doubt and favoring them more than Democrats. But they were pretty close, in regards to each other.
Yeah, because historically, Disney was always seen as a family-friendly brand. It was always, it did lean conservative. I hate to break it to you. And I've told you many times before, and I've been telling you for years, but Walt was a Republican, and they espoused traditionally conservative-ish values.
That being said, there's a way to meet in the middle, but they aren't. They're just like going clear the other direction.
No.
But they said normally, and in this survey, most times they were, the Republicans and Democrats were only 4.4 apart on average from each other, except for Disney. It was 19.3. Because this year. Normally they're like, it's bipartisan every year until this year. They normally are pretty close together. Yeah, Democrats were 72.5 last year and Republicans were 75. So they were, really close together, and they've been the whole way down this hill until last year, until this happened up until now.
Yeah, that's not good. Again, there's a long tail on these things, and I think we're going to see more and more backlash. I think it's going to take a year or two for Disney to feel the full brunt of public backlash because, again, people, they're going to do their trips or whatever. They're not going to book their trips next year. They're not going to renew their Disney Plus. They're not going to renew their passes. Their movies are in massive decline.
So is Disney going to find out who all voted on this poll and didn't vote for them and sue them too?
Hey, look, I'll I'll be honest, the way Disney was going, there were probably people within the company that would have been happy to be like, hey, yeah, which way did you vote? Yeah, we don't want to let you into our parks.
Yeah, pretty much.
They totally
It's
would.
Ridiculous. This country is made up of two different parties, like it or hate it.
More than that.
More than that. But there's historically been two main parties. I know you're libertarian, but two main parties, okay? And this country is made up mostly of those two parties. That's the way it is. You can't say, if you don't agree with me, then you need to leave the country. That's stupid. You have to understand that it's by consensus. That's how this works. Well, it's supposed to work. It's been questionable in the last few years, but it's by consensus. And that's what you're supposed to understand. People are different than you. Everybody's supposed to respect your differences, but everybody else is supposed to, leave the country if they're different from you. And that's where there's a problem.
Yeah, they won't even leave Twitter.
Right.
People are like, oh my God, if Elon Musk buys Twitter, I'm leaving Twitter forever. Okay, well, I'm going to stick around, but I'm not going to pay for a blue check. Well, I'm going to stick around and not pay for a blue check. I need to be here to make sure I keep the chuds in check. Yeah.
I know, it's so stupid. So they also determined these changes in the survey. Again, it's a sampling. It's not necessarily completely representative of everybody. 44% of Democrats, but only 1% of Republicans said they were feeling more positive about the company. 42% of Republicans said their feelings about Disney grew more negative over the past year compared with 12% of Democrats. So you can see, not all Republicans, not all Democrats, okay? Making sure to make that clear for the idiots in the back. 35% of Republicans but just 19% of Democrats said Disney had become less authentic and more divisive. So some Democrats think that it's become less authentic and more divisive too. See how this works? Not everybody's in lockstep. It's because they vote differently than you.
There are a lot of people, you hear from the loudest voices, but the vast majority of people are somewhere in the middle. And they're even like, look, I go to Disney World, I watch a movie to turn my brain off for a while. I don't want to think about politics. I don't want to think about the state of the world. I don't want to, kick up controversy where there isn't any. I just want to watch a damn movie, go to a damn theme park, and that's it. And even Democrats are like, yeah, this is like, just stop it. Just stop.
And that's what I'm saying. They always assume that if you don't agree with them, you're the other side. But both sides have a wide range. It's a spectrum, people. There's a lot of people that are like, full on really hard left or right. And then there's a bunch of people that, it gradates to the middle, on both sides. That's just how it works. 63% of Democrats and 46% of Republicans describe the company as family oriented now.
Depends on your definition of a family, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, I'm just saying, 63% is not 100% Democrats.
No.
And 46% is not 100% Republicans. Yet, the media and social media will run with, if you don't agree, you're obviously this or that. That's not indicative of what party you say you align with, because what you think about Disney.
I think Disney's been listening to their younger, dumber PR and marketing people, just like so many other, we talked about Bud Light or whatever briefly. And that was the result of a younger, dumber marketing person. Disney, I know for a fact, listens to their young, dumb marketing people. I know this for a fact because there are people.
At least then they were.
They were, and I think that they in part set them on this path. I know a lot of people have these conspiracy theories about the ESG and all that stuff. I don't even look in it. I don't know. I'm just saying what I have seen, my own observation. Being in Disney's media, they started hiring younger people fresh out of college. They had all these ideas about what the public wanted. So this is where we got the Instagram walls and the Disney, appealing to Disney adults.
Right.
And all this stuff. This came from these 20-somethings that they're promoting to like marketing heads right out of college. And I think that the older people are like, well, these young people know what's going on, so we'll just listen to them. And that's, so I think it helped kind of drive a wedge too, where they were like, this isn't our traditional marketing.
Well, yeah, and like I said, that you can see that curve is heading downward.
Yeah.
And the first image on the article, and that's over the course of 9 years. It's not just a new thing, but it's plunged. Now, to be fair, it's plunged a lot since 2022, but it looks like it plunged a lot from 2020 down to 2022. You know what I'm saying? It's been in decline.
Like Splash Mountain, right here is when they announced they're going to change it, and then I'm some idiot's gonna be like, you idiot, you thought that's because it's changed Splash Mountain that went down. No, I'm making a joke. I'm making a joke. But yeah, and this has been going on since 2014. I would say that's about when we started to notice changes. It became more obvious at Disney around 2017, 2018 that they were leaning another direction. Now, what's weird, and I've said before, there are a lot of people in Florida at Walt Disney World that are openly, or were at the time, openly conservative. So it was kind of weird to see them push so far left when I knew so many people there were so far right.
Well, like I said, it's amazing because before 2014, people could vote how they wanted, and people were different than you. A lot of times you didn't even know how people that you worked with voted because it wasn't something that you should even ask. Yeah. That was your personal, private thing. You didn't, you shouldn't, unless you want to share it. It wasn't, mandated that you share it. This has been a recent thing that if you didn't vote the way we vote, then you're our enemy. It's so stupid. But then again, back in the day, they actually, both sides used to work together for the greater good instead of just, campaigning for the next election as soon as the other one's over.
Yeah,
it's just, bringing that up.
It's ridiculous.
Work for the people, not so much the companies that paid them, the lobbyists.
Well, I think they were better at hiding it from us if they were.
I think so too, but the money wasn't like it is now.
Yeah.
Now that's been going on since the 80s or 90s. Yeah, but I'm just saying.
So this actually does coincide with this because I talked about it earlier today on Twitter. I said, Twitter, it was unthinkable a year ago for Twitter to be hosting right-wing voices, especially, far-right voices. They got the Daily Wire on there. They got Tucker Carlson on there. Elon Musk is going to be interviewing Ron DeSantis. Speaking of Disney, he's going to be interviewing him on Twitter as he announces his presidential bid. But this is coming from Harvard Harris poll. This is another Harris poll. And what's interesting about this is these are the most favorable political figures currently. Musk, Trump, DeSantis, Bernie Sanders are all above Joe Biden. I think what's going on, and we've seen this ourselves, not to get, again, this is a political thing, I think, because of them being politically polarizing. The left has pushed so far left that they've pushed people that were not as far left or in the middle further to the right by just all of this cancel culture, activism, you're a bigot, you're a racist, misogynist, whatever. Everything's got to be, have a political tint to it that they're actually pushing back the other way. And I think this is across the board. I think we're going to start seeing it more in media. I mean, we've got CNN letting Republicans on now, and the guy who runs CNN, David Zaslav, is actually a Democrat. And he's like, we're going to start, because I think it's just basically people are tired of everything being political and it all being the media conversation being dominated by one side.
Ironically enough, too, as this decline is hitting and as this, they're becoming a more unfavorable brand, across the board, their stock is declining.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like their reputation, and the media's writing, the reputation's being threatened because of Republicans. It's like, no, they did this to themselves. And I think it's not just because of political things. There's other things they've done that everybody's mad about.
The quality's declined.
The price gouging.
Yeah,
they don't have a very good reputation the whole way around. And they need to meet in the middle. They need to find a middle ground, and they need to focus on that.
All they had to do was make good entertainment consistently, make good product, tell stories.
Stay out of politics.
Stay out of, you can...
Silence brand.
You can comment on stuff via your stories if you do it in a tactful way as to not alienate your audience, right? You can do that. And they've been doing that. People have been doing that for years, right? But they basically went on the offensive. Disney basically went on the attack, flat out said, we're going to attack conservatives when they, with over the Florida bill.
Well, I think it also comes down to how compartmentalized Disney is, which you've talked about before. So people that are, and the ones making decisions of what to put out there and what to publicly put out for the PR and stuff might lean a different way than the people in another department that might be a larger department in the company.
Burbank, as I understand it, Burbank makes a decision for...
Oh, let's guess which way Burbank leans.
Yeah, and they're making all the PR decisions, all the marketing decisions for Florida, which is a very different situation, obviously. And yeah, they stuck their foot in their mouths. I mean, they're probably trying to get fist bumps from their Glendale friends, and it's like, oh shit, we just pissed off a huge audience in Florida. Because I know and even within the company, there are a lot of conservatives that work in Disney, and they probably would have been like, yeah, shut up. If you'd asked us, we would have told you to shut up.
Honestly, everybody in the company's going to have a different opinion anyway, and the company really should just stay out of a lot of this shit. And they didn't, and it's kind of biting them in the ass now. Good or bad, it's biting them in the ass. And then Iger came in and made it much, much, much worse than it already was.
I mean, we haven't done videos on Bud Light. I don't see us doing videos on Bud Light, but I think it's a cautionary tale that I think we're getting to a point now where people are tired of the brands telling them what they should think, what they should believe. This like, again, we had activists commandeer these platforms, and this is the public backlash. This is what happens.
When in doubt, I would recommend, figuring what is the largest common denominator. What is the mass audience group? Go for that group, in the middle, the one that's the majority of your people. And you could probably save a lot of headaches, face, time, etc.
When in doubt, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
When in doubt, keep your mouth shut. That's what you do. Are we gonna wrap this up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye. Sorry, I yelled loudly.
That's okay. I got the limiter on.
Okay. So
you can tell my kick
setting.
Yeah, you can tell.
Really? It automatically limits it when I yell?
It does. When the pitch gets too high, it does. Sometimes if you sound like all robotic, it's because it's bringing the decibels down.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.